Hi guys, it's Alec here. Today I'm going to show you how to do a list in reverse order. Um, right, so there are basically two main ways to do it. You can categorize it as doing it manually or doing it with some kind of a formula or some kind of transformation. All right, so I'm going to do it in the grid in Excel. So here's the list. This is a very basic list, 1 to 10. And if we want to reverse this manually, you'd basically just start with 10 and go to 9. And then, this is probably the easiest way to do it and drag it down to 1. Um, problem with this is obviously it's not bound to this list. So if you were to change anything in this list, like, put an A there, that wouldn't appear on this side. Right. So here's a way to dynamically do it. Um, Okay, so firstly, we have a index. All right, so index helps us to find certain things in in a certain array. So I'm going to give the whole array here. Okay, and then I want to say, what amount of row numbers am I actually going to try and give back here? So the amount of rows is going to be a sequence of rows. Okay. So I'm going to say, don't just give me one row, give me a sequence of rows, right? And how many rows do I want to get? Well, I actually don't know. I'm going to count them. I want to make this fully dynamic. What do you want to count? Count A just means count the amount of non-blank cells in a array. So I'm going to mark the whole column, all right? Now just see here, I've got a heading to this list. So I'm just going to say count everything minus 1, all right? I'm going to leave that part of the sequence formula open. It doesn't need because it's got square brackets. Where do I want to start? Well, I want to basically start at the very end of this list, okay? So I'm going to do the same, which I just did. I'm going to say count A again, because I want to say, well, I want to kind of like start at the end. So I'm going to count everything again and minus 1, because I don't want the answer 12. You'll see the answer that it gives back over here is going to be 11 because it's heading plus 10. And I just want a minus 1 from there. Right. Um, okay. Now I'm back in the sequence formula, right? Um, sorry, just go one back into the sequence formula, comma. What I wanted to do, well, I basically want in reverse order, so I need to count from the end backwards. I've already got the end of it. How do I go backwards? Just by step minus 1. Right. And then I close this. Okay. Now you'll see it's actually got a list here that starts at 7. All right. So why would that be? Well, firstly, I've got an index array that starts from 1, 2, 3. And that's why it's got those first few ones. Okay. So how do I make that dynamic? Well, I'd go into this and say, I still want you to actually start at the start of this list. So how do I do that? I can just say, well, offset the reference would be, I would go here. I'd say, well, I want to start at the beginning of my list. And how many rows do I want? Well, yeah, I go back into count A. Okay, this is the amount of rows I want. Oh, sorry, no, not here. I just want, I want to offset by 1 row, okay? And then I go back, how many columns? Well, obviously just 1 column. It's actually gonna kind of like stick to 1 column if I just jump over that. What is my height? My height is count A, okay? And then I'm gonna count everything minus 1. All right, check. Right, so the nice thing is now that this formula is fully dynamic. If I were to put an A in here, you'll see that it pops an A there. Let's give it up to 6. And what's nice about it is, I'm just going to type, sorry, 6 there again. Come on, type 6. Right. Now I can actually take this on. You'll see it starts generating it dynamically over here, and it's just kind of like doing it for me. I can put anything in here, ABC, you know, D, F, or D, G, and it's kind of like popping it in reverse order for me. So that's a nice way just to dynamically think about it. But it's got a few formulas that you need to get a grip of. Um, firstly, index, which helps us to, ultimately determine the array. And the array is done by an offset because I want the offset to take into consideration where it starts, etc., etc. And obviously, you then go into a count A. I want it to dynamically determine how many rows is in my array. So what is my height? Then it needs to go into a sequence. So this is the array formula that helps us to step through the whole array. So I've got one cell that's populated with a formula, but it's now actually gone and said, but you know what? Even though usually a index gives you a single point, a coordinate, a row and a column, now with a sequence, I can actually step through all of the rows and actually get a whole range of answers. And then I go back into count A. All right, so it's got nice few formulas in here, but that does make it nice and dynamic. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that and have a good one. Cheers, guys.